Good morning, St. Louis, and welcome to another stop on the STL Donut Tour. Today's donut destination is Daylight Donuts in Chesterfield, a locally owned and operated licensee from the Daylight Donut Flour Company. Daylight Donuts recently opened in November of 2020, with their grand opening just last month on National Donut Day. The shop is open into the evening hours and has a separate menu for the nighttime, with boozy donuts not available in the morning. Daylight Donuts has a ton of social media accounts and are one of the few places I've seen with a TikTok account and a channel with multiple uploads on YouTube. Unfortunately, as this is a brand new shop still working out their product, I'm going to suggest that you give them some time, as their donuts are wildly inconsistent based on previous reviews and what I experienced today. Let's take a look at those Daylight Donuts. Starting off today, we have a glazed raised yeast ring. This donut is on the small side for a yeast ring. Normally a shop will make this the star of their collection, but this one looks rather underwhelming and feels stiff like an air hockey puck. The dough itself feels tough and dry, like it was overworked. The gluten is overstretched, giving the dough a stiff, coarse texture. Next up is the glazed sour cream old fashioned. This donut is larger than normal for the style and doesn't have a very good shape for an old fashioned. The lack of well-defined ridges and valleys mean that there are no crisp outer bits or marinated inner parts that have soaked up all the standing glaze. Overall, it tastes like a regular cake donut. The shape and technique for old fashions are important for the end product to be the right balance of crisp brown outside and soft creamy center. Overall, I think it's a good cake donut, but not a very good old fashioned. Up next is the chocolate long john. This was a very soft and buttery rich donut that tasted fresh and delicious. The dark chocolate icing gives it a nice bitterness that is balanced by the buttery fattiness of the donut. This chocolate icing flavor is a unique dark chocolate flavor I haven't come across at any other shops. Up next, we've got a cinnamon sugar covered raspberry jelly donut. Now, the Bismarck itself is where I have issue with this donut. It's just not raised at all. It feels very flat and very stiff. The jelly is nice. There's a good amount of it. And the cinnamon in the cinnamon sugar coating gives a nice warmth to the raspberry. But overall, the Bismarck is just lacking and feels flat. Next up, the chocolate iced French cruller. This donut is larger than usual for the style, but is overall well made, and I enjoyed the dark chocolate icing, which gave it a nice bittersweet taste to round out the richness of the donut. It's light and airy with nice large pockets and a rich golden color that gives the bite a slight crispness. Overall, this is a good version of a classic donut style. Next up, we have the apple fritter. And I'm not going to lie, this was my least favorite apple fritter in the 22 shops that I've visited. I love this style of flat and crispy fritter and was hoping for something really tasty, but when I flipped it over, the bottom just looks incredibly dry and stale. The flavor is unappetizing with a heavy gingerbread spice and lots of clove. I understand what they're trying to go for with the unique flavor, but those spices are too heavy-handed. There are some nice chunks of apple and a good crisp glaze, but overall the spices are not balanced and it's just too much. To me, it is inedible, and I feel like the recipe isn't being followed properly. Someone mixed up tablespoons instead of teaspoons, or someone just isn't measuring. And last but not least, we have an amazing looking specialty roll from Daylight Donuts, the glazed pine cone. I asked about this donut and was told it was made out of cinnamon rolled dough as a pull-apart style. Just breaking this donut in half, it feels stale and hard. I don't taste any cinnamon at all. The flavor is slightly buttery and a little yeasty, but overall it's really faint and just plain. The glaze doesn't really give it enough sweetness and it's just stiff. It tastes like it was made yesterday. For arriving 2 hours after opening, I'm pretty upset that just about every donut I got today tasted stale, especially this one. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to click like and subscribe down below so you don't miss another minute of my weekly donut content. So today's shop had a few donuts that weren't quite as delicious as I would have liked them to have been. Inconsistencies often happen in new shops. I wasn't aware when I first went here this morning. The shop was so new. They just celebrated their grand opening last month. So they're still working out a lot of the kinks. But yeah, thanks for joining me today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this episode of STL Donut Tour. Stay tuned for next week when we'll be visiting another one of St. Louis's best donut shops here on STL Donut Tour. Looking for the gateway to the West through fried dough. Have a great day, everybody.